Hello, my spooky seekers, and welcome to this episode of Haunted Ohio Podcast with Leanne Crystal and Brandon Miller today. He's our special guest.
Hello.
We're going to talk about lots of stuff, but we're going to start out with Bigfoot. Because you got a lot of buzz on a post about Bigfoot that you put up.
Yes.
People were really curious.
They're interested. They want to hear the story.
Yes.
Even asked me to DM.
I know. They're like, send it to me. I'm like, no, that's my content. Stay off it.
Well, hearing it, if you hear the story, I guess it's better than just reading it.
Right, exactly. So, where did you see Bigfoot?
So there's actually
I don't like the word Bigfoot.
Right, because there's no way to prove that it was Bigfoot.
That's my whole point with all that. So where did you see this creature?
So,
Sounds creepy.
Well, my brother's story predates mine.
Yes.
And he has two of them, actually. Which is, I Googled it, like, looking up, like, other people's stories.
It's uncommon.
Two of them is really weird to have two.
Yeah.
Because most, they go their whole lives, they don't even see one.
This is near where you grew up, though.
Yes.
So you guys have lived or had people living in the same exact place for a long time. So that it tracks more than people that just are walking around in the woods and go, oh.
Yep.
Because they might not be in that exact spot ever again.
Exactly. Plus, I can get you the coordinates and stuff so you can get the maps up and it'll put it in perspective. Yeah, we'll deal.
We'll do a vague where it is because you don't want people to be like,
I'll try my best to explain it. Right. Yeah. So my brother obviously is not around to tell the story anymore.
Yeah.
So let's let it live on.
Yes,
because I think it's very interesting, and I've heard it nearly my whole life. So we've always lived in Seneca County. Mm-hmm. That's where we grew up. We bounced around. That's not about the story. Anyways, so we were staying at my uncle's house, and he lives off a river road. If your listeners know where this is, Seneca County,
us,
in Ohio, right? River Road's close to Fort Seneca and Old Fort, so that's the area we're talking about.
Yeah, it's all Old Fort School District area. Is a good way to, because it's in the middle of nowhere.
And the Sandusky River runs right through actually both houses. So one's on one side and the other one's on the other side. Which when you pull up the map, you're like, aha! It's only like 2 miles apart. These sightings. So we've always lived in rural areas. We've always played in the woods. I've literally cut my teeth growing up in the woods.
Yeah.
Running and playing, and I've seen weird things, but we've seen
weird things together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots.
So, real quick, we've known each other our entire lives.
Whole lives. Yeah.
And this growing up in the woods, we did together.
Right.
So.
And growing up, a haunted house. And if I'm not mistaken, your house was a little...
Which one?
The one in Old Fort, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, that was a creepy house.
It was strange vibes.
It was strange
for sure,
vibes.
Strange vibes. So I think it was like birds of a feather.
Yeah.
So we kind of understood each other.
For sure.
Even when we were younger, because we'd be like, man, that was weird.
People that are open to things. Yeah. Oh, so sorry. I didn't
and I think our whole families are that way too, because my brother and my sister are both sensitive.
I would say I have a sister that is, and everyone else is not.
So, well, they might not embrace it too.
Absolutely.
I've read you can actually draw yourself away from it.
You can tamper that down. For sure.
You can really muddle it for sure.
Yeah.
So behind my uncle's woods, well, his house, you got a big patch of woods. It's very thick. This one's actually more dense than where I was at.
Yeah.
It goes all the way up to the Sandusky River, and my brother always coon trapped. So he had lots of raccoon traps all along the river. You go check them, whatever. So it was actually not just him who's seen this. This is actually several people all seeing the same thing at the same time. And both of his stories combined is probably like a dozen people. So it's credible.
Exactly.
Everybody's seeing the same thing. We don't really know what it was. We know what it kind of sounds like.
Right. So, and that's always my thing. I'm not a Bigfoot denier. There might be multiple things that we call Bigfoot
it's very
strange.
Because of what we've decided. Strange. And most of the history behind Bigfoot, you hear from like Pennsylvania, like really large forests, like actual forests, and we don't really have I mean, we have patches of woods, thicket.
Yeah. We have stuff that farmers left between fields.
Yeah, basically like I just couldn't buy that part. Yeah. So, whether it be streams or whatever, they couldn't build on it. So, with that in mind, though, what I've heard this twice, and I don't remember the sources. It was just like people, just people around. It's been on this earth for 30 some years, so just people around. They've all said that if there would be like a Bigfoot walking through this area, they're just traveling. They're going from the idea is to go to a different.
Bigger forest.
Yeah, maybe like Michigan or something. I'm not really
just
sure.
like looking for a different place to
That's just what
down.
two people have said that. I don't know if there's any credibility behind it.
If that's the type of creature that it really is, then that makes sense. It's like bears, when they're like, we see them and they're traveling through, they're not going to like chill and...
Yeah. It is a good theory, though, since there's, multiple all in the same area.
Right,
that it would make sense.
Because they would follow the river just like someone who would follow the railroad to get to somewhere. Yeah. So
here's how the story goes. There was 3 or 4 of them, including my brother. Some of your listeners might even be one of them. So that would be cool. That'd be cool. We won't name drop. Just, I don't know how they feel about it. Because, it scares people. Or they don't want to.
And people don't want to come out because
they don't want to be branded like, man, this guy's crazy. He's right.
Yeah.
And he's cuckoo. So there was 4 of them. I know of 3 of them personally. And in fact, they were there.
Yeah.
That like I can confirm 100%, but I believe there was another one. I don't think I've ever met him.
Okay.
I might have. I'm not really sure. My brother had so many friends. So
he did.
So they go back, check their traps, and as my brother told the story, he said it was odd because they didn't have as many sounds. Mm-hmm. That you hear from the critters at night. It was pitch dark.
Oh, they couldn't hear like the normal woods noise.
Right. You got critters scurrying and all those things.
Yeah.
And if you're coon hunting, and he did it a lot. He knew what he was doing, and all the boys did. They were boys then. They were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But we were like,
teens.
we were all like, we could be in the woods and know exactly what to do at any time. And you know what that sounds like. We're used to it. And when something big is around because you can hear like a hush.
Yeah.
I might not look like it, but I was a woods girl. Okay?
You can watch birds fly, and that tells you, hey, man, maybe they're running away from something.
For sure.
So it's definitely something that if you do it again and again and again, like you just know if something feels weird.
Absolutely.
You're like, man, this is strange. So they didn't hear any coon, nothing. And they're like, man, that's really weird because this spot's hot.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, well, let's pack it in. So they're on a riverbank. And so this would have been, I'd say, on the furthest side of these woods.
Okay.
Because it would have been as close as you can get to the Sandusky River.
Yeah.
And they come up to the top of the bank. The only light that they have is the moon. And there's this really big guy. And he's standing in front of them.
Oh my gosh.
And they can see like his breath. Now, they didn't automatically assume this is a bad guy or this is a threat.
Right.
At first, they actually thought that it was either my uncle or my grandpa because both of them loved to put on like a scary mask and run out in the woods and literally wait for you to go and then jump out and scare you. Like they were just that type of prankster.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Oh, come on, grandpa," and dude didn't say nothing. Or whatever it was.
Well,
we'll just say dude because we don't know who
dude didn't say anything.
Dude didn't say nothing.
Right.
And they're like, man, what's going on? He wasn't saying nothing, and they're like...
Because then you immediately go to someone living in your woods.
Yeah, because then they're like, this isn't kin.
Yeah.
We're like, who is this? And most of these places I'm talking about are private property. I do believe, I'm like 80% sure that this is also private property. You can't just walk back there. You got to have like permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, which some, there are poachers, but I don't think that this was a poacher. It just doesn't make sense when you hear the rest of it. So They all are armed. Obviously,
Yeah.
they all have like 22 shotguns, that type of deal. And they told him, they're like, you either start talking or we're going to start blasting.
Yeah.
And
because you don't know what they have.
And he was
you don't
way
know
larger than them. They did say
Yeah.
that his size was massive. And they couldn't see his face because you got the moon. So all they could really see is just this figure.
Yeah, the shape.
The figure, they could tell he was wearing some type of fur jacket, is what they were thinking.
Yeah, because
they were thinking it was another hunter.
Obviously, you're not thinking like,
right.
Oh,
they was thinking it was another hunter.
Yeah.
You know, so they loaded their guns. They all racked around, and my brother had this coon light that he would wear on his hat. It's like looked like a miner. Like a miner's hat. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, like a miner's hat, man. And he had this big old battery and stuff.
Yeah.
So on the battery, you'd have to spin this knob to turn it on. So he spun the knob and pointed to where the guy was, and he wasn't there no more. So they didn't hear him scurry away.
Yeah.
He was just there.
Gone.
My brother's getting the light up, and dude's gone.
So you're like, is he behind me? Like,
right.
What the hell is going on?
Now in the heat of the moment, they didn't try shutting off the light to see if it was like a transparent type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Because I even thought of that too. I was like, well, but so they didn't do that. They ran.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, they ran. So they were like, where is he?
Yeah.
You know, way bigger than me. We got 22s and shotguns, and this man just ghosted.
Right.
Literally just
ghosted us.
Just was like, haha, I do this all day.
Yes.
So they ran. They ran all the way to their vehicles, and these boys, they all lived in the area. You'd have to cross the river.
Yeah.
So this is what they had to do. They had to drive on, and it's back when we had the old bridges. Remember the old bridges?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Going into Fort Seneca, right? So it was very popular to fish there.
Another very haunted area.
Yes, and it's super popular to fish.
Yeah.
Around the bridges. So there was some fishers, and they were pulling up, and this bridge was like a one car bridge, and you actually would stop and you would like flash.
Yeah.
And it lets people know, like, hey, I'm about to go, you know what I mean?
Or you go ahead.
Right,
right. One of those, like,
you're not getting two.
Yeah,
I mean, that's actually how it came down with the combine.
Yeah.
So, they said that these people are screaming, and they got the windows down in the truck. They stop, obviously, and these people are screaming, and they're running up to their car, and they can see them. They're like, man, what's going on? What's going on? And these people are dropping, like, tackle boxes, poles. I don't know if they're new, old. That don't matter.
Yeah.
They're dropping money.
Yeah, they're
running,
like, nope, no, thank
running.
you.
and they see the fella, but he wasn't nowhere near them, and that's how scared they were.
Yes.
So they were just pointing, and they got in their car and they tore out. You know, so they looked down in the river, and here's this dude again, walking across the river like there's no undercurrent.
So I
like he just does this.
It's so crazy because I'm like hearing Dusty tell this story right now.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
oh, that is like,
Yeah.
I totally forgot about this until you got to that part where it's walking, and I'm like hearing this story again. Yeah.
And you've been in that river. There's an undercurrent. We all know about undercurrent because we were all warned about it.
You're gonna die.
Ever since we were little, like it'll take you be all the way up to
your tiny ass is gonna be
gone. And this man's just walking or whatever it is,
it's
humanoid,
so solid. It's like
humanoid, whatever. It was on 2
humanoid.
feet.
That's a good.
It was on 2 feet, and
bipedal.
It appeared to have 2 arms, 2 feet, a head, a chest,
it was
a
big.
fur coat.
It was hairy. I mean, if we
dark.
want to say Bigfoot, there you go. Sasquatch.
Bigfoot,
there's a million words.
Or a strange hairy man walking around that can just
man.
disappear like Tarzan, man.
The disappearing, and I've heard that a lot, is so weird because
I've read that too. And
how do they Are they?
It's very strange.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It's very strange.
Are they just that stealthy that they're so used to that we just don't see how they move?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's so crazy.
Like some dude on a forum because I was like trying to brush
you're
up on it.
Like, what do
I was trying to brush up on it.
And the more you read, the more you kind of form what you think from what you saw.
This guy who said something about like the Predator movies, like when it goes
stealth,
when it goes stealth mode. They're like, oh, that's what it's got. I mean,
look, I did it. I'm gone. You know what I mean? It's so crazy.
Yeah. So, and they watch him. from the safety of their truck, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're watching this guy, and I mean, to think they were probably from here to your wall in your living room, which is, what is that, 10, 12 feet, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not good with distance.
Me either.
Whatever it is.
It's a while.
Close enough to, be scared of it. And to know that it's, I mean, there's something in front of you. It's obviously huge.
Yeah.
And there's somebody there. You get the light on, start shining the area, dude's gone.
Yeah.
And then they find him again, and there's more witnesses to the
that you
same...
don't even know, that you weren't there with.
Right.
So that's what makes it more credible.
Totally different parties.
Because there's different people.
I don't even think they knew each other. Like, these two parties,
right.
I don't think Dusty recognized any of the people in that party.
So then they might have thought that
they were older,
we're crazy.
Though.
Because
he did say that they were older.
You might say to yourself, after that experience, we had a group-like experience, and we were thinking we saw something we didn't, but then you have those other people, and you're like, no, shit, we saw something.
Yeah. And they would have been teenagers then. Yeah. The people that were running were adults. Like 20s, young adults.
Like, would have been less susceptible to just, like, panic.
They probably wouldn't scare just as easily because, adults tend to not run off of their emotions as much as children. Yeah. So, that that's the only time that, those 2 times, that's the only time he saw it. Yeah. He's seen something that was strange in wildlife, like the behavior. He said one time, in the same area, so I don't know if this would be relevant or what.
I think that it is. I think that there are areas that things are drawn to, whether it be magnetically from the ground or like just an energy field. Possibly. I think that a lot.
So he said he was checking traps, and he shined his coon light around, and he saw a set of eyes, raccoon eyes. Yeah. So. And you can tell. I mean, I don't know if you guys.
I mean, some people will know.
Yeah.
Like when your dog, when you catch your dog with like the headlights or like and they get that shot.
You'll have like different colors, shapes.
Yeah. So but that's a dog. Enough. You know what's a cat when you catch him in the headlights. Yeah.
I'm a little out of practice, but if I remember right, coon eyes will shine like a greenish tint. I think like a greenish or like a yellowish. It's a
in
brighter
my brain,
color.
That's what it looks like.
I feel like that's. I don't know. I could, It's been a while since I spotted a coon.
Yeah, right. I haven't been it was like let me.
Well, yeah, I'm older now. If I see one outside, I don't care about it. Like I'm not gonna go grab my light. Like, hey.
Unless it's like if it's awake in the daylight, it needs to something needs to be done. Right. Just
if
a
it's
safety.
Rabid,
just
walking
a safety
around,
tip. Yeah.
Staggering, foaming at the mouth.
Oh, it's cute. It's eating my garbage. No, it's probably gonna have rabies. Just a heads up. Yeah. Just temper. Definitely. And if you have a cat, it's a whole thing.
Oh yeah, and they'll fight each other. Yeah. A lot. Yeah, I think they're cousins.
Yeah, they're very
similar. These species are
like a fox and a cat and a raccoon.
Yeah, because coons will use like a litter box.
They'll eat your. They'll get up in there.
But they have the little hands that can grab stuff.
They're so cute.
It is kind of cute. They grab them. So I don't even remember.
We got way off track.
He is so off topic. What were we talking about?
He saw.
He
saw eyes in the woods.
Saw eyes.
Yep, we got it. We're back.
He saw eyes. And, he's standing, and then he saw another set of eyes, and he's like, oh, 2 of them. Yeah. And then he saw another set, and then he shines the light behind him, and there's another set. Ooh. Now, this is weird. Raccoons don't act like this. If they only would do that if they're feeling threatened and cornered. But if you're just checking your trap, and there's... wide open.
I don't think they do it together. There's not going to be like multiples coming out. It might attack you if you corner it.
I've never seen it. I've never heard of it.
Never heard of.
This is the only time I've ever heard of that.
Right, because they'll just hide from you. Because they're quicker and better at getting places than you
are. They'll run and they can go up a tree and you can't. So
definitely
it's been working out for a millennia for them.
Right, they're not gonna just like gang up on you in like a
And he shot at one of them and then they all dispersed.
Yeah.
Not very extravagant, not a very crazy story, but definitely strange, and it was in the same area.
Yeah.
Same area.
Okay, so I'm going to butcher this pronunciation again, because I always do. The Pukwudgies? I just did a video on them. I thought it was Pukwudgies, and I thought that was super cute, but it's not. It's Pukwudgies. They are like little forest cryptids that have like quills on their back, and they're like tiny kind of troll quilled back
Never
things.
Heard of this.
So like they're supposedly like protecting areas in the forest. So that's so weird that I just did that video and you bring that up. Maybe
He was assuming that they were a raccoon from their eyes, from the color of their eyes. So I don't know.
That's odd. That's funny that I just
definitely
did that.
Peculiar.
Yeah,
it's funny how
I had never
things
heard
pop
of those.
up when you and then you can
and I
reference
did the video
because
I had never heard of those.
That's pretty
and
awesome.
all of like my stuff, watching a million documentaries, I have never heard of the Pukwudgies.
I've never heard of it either.
Right. I'm so sorry.
There's a lot of cryptids. I was trying to remember what that name was. Cryptid.
Yeah.
I kept on saying like toid. I was like, it's like a toid or something.
Yeah, like cryptoid.
Yeah. That's what I was like.
What is
man,
that?
like,
why is that sound so?
I knew I just sounded dumb when I was
You're like, no, there's a word.
Yeah,
I don't know it,
like,
so I'm gonna wait for her to say it.
Oh, that's super exciting. I'm gonna go tell some cool stories and hear some ghost stories. And it's gonna be fun. And he's like, so what else? And I was like, the creatures that like you don't really know if they're real. He's like, I was like, what is that? He's like, time.
So we were talking about how we couldn't come up with the word cryptids, and then we ran out of room, so now we're back.
We're back.
But cryptid, that's the word.
Cryptids, which is the blanket statement for...
Yes.
Is it anything that's a humanoid?
No, anything that's just unexplained. Anything...
Because I know the Mothman's in...
Mothman, we have like... Anything really. The skinwalkers, which I'm obsessed with.
It's very interesting.
I am obsessed with that. If you hear banging, my child's walking around upstairs. But yeah, just so you know that no one's like beating on a door. So yeah, like anything unexplained, anything that could possibly be out there that we don't know about.
But yeah, we don't have like an Animal Planet segment on it.
We don't have like a skeleton which I think. And when we get back to this thing with the Bigfoot, we don't have a skeleton. Yeah. I'm not saying that they don't have a way of hiding themselves.
That's a tough one.
But never.
Right.
I'm also not saying we don't have big skeletons. That's not what I'm saying. But we don't have a proven Bigfoot. We didn't find a body ever in all these years. Which is tough,
and
it's
there's a lot of theories behind that too. Like they eat their own, or
they know how to get rid of them, or how to like dispose to keep their secret. But it's like if they're that
like
smart,
the mafia, but
right, they're the mob bosses,
yeah.
Or they're interdimensional, and I brought that up.
Forest gangsters.
A lot that they could be interdimensional and just like poof, and that's how they disappear and come back.
That would explain.
It would explain it, but I think that's just such a easy way to explain it. I don't think it's impossible, but it's such an easy way to be like, oh, they went poof.
Right. Well,
they could go poof, but it seems like an easy way out.
It probably wasn't that long ago that people, I think people still think that the Earth is flat.
People definitely still think the Earth is flat.
They call them like flat earthers. Like there's a term for it.
I mean, if you're out there, good for you, but it's not flat. I'm sorry.
I think they've I think they've already like got satellites and stuff. They can tell it's a big ball.
They think
they've had that for a while.
They think that that's like them trying to propaganda. Which my question is, why would they care if we think it's round? Whoever they, the they of the world, like why would they want us to think it was spherical, even though it's not? It's kind of like an egg. Just so you know, it's not perfectly circle.
Yeah, but an interesting thing is we know what a straight line is.
Yeah.
So how far does your straight line have to be before it's no longer straight and it's curved? Whoa.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Mind blown, flat earthers. It's curved.
That might be what the flat earthers would go off of. They're like, dude, I can see,
Have you ever seen they'll do like videos on the flat earth? There's a documentary on Netflix.
I didn't know there was a documentary.
Oh yeah, on Netflix.
Holy cow.
And they do like these things to prove it, and they always fail because it's not like they'll shine a light and see if they can see it from further away, but you can't because there's a curvature.
Right. Yeah.
And they always fail, and they're like, there was like, we'll try again, but it doesn't matter.
Right. There's a horizon, so there's definitely.
But it doesn't ever work out for them. But they keep on keeping on. So persistence, you guys got it. They have like conventions. There's like a whole thing.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, there's like a whole like podcast world, a whole everything. The flat earthers are aplenty. Wow, how did we get on flat earthers?
Yeah, it's a thing. But no, I was gonna it's a thing now. Okay, well, before that, I didn't know it was that big of a thing. Before I
threw that on you.
So like way back when the philosophers were like figuring out the space, like they just thought, really strange things that we would be like, man, that's dumb.
Only because we have more information.
Right. Yeah. So everything that you said, these theories on if they disappear or what, or interdimensional, maybe.
Maybe. Oh, for sure, maybe.
Maybe we're just not that smart yet.
Maybe we're not that capable. What if they are a strain of human that has existed forever? And they just have more capabilities. If you listen to my other podcast, you know that I think that humans were magical thousands of years ago and we were able to do more things, but over time it was hard. It took a lot of discipline, so we have kind of lost that capability and replaced it with technology. So what if these are a shoot off of the human race that have more capabilities and they just like exist somewhere between realms?
Well, you think like pyramids. How'd they build that?
That's exactly what I said.
They don't have all the machinery in the big like crane tower.
We had the Library of Alexandria and that was destroyed, and it probably had the answer to how they built it.
Now they say that had all the answers
to everything,
to like life or something.
And it was destroyed, possibly by the Crusaders. I know some people argue that, but I don't know. That makes sense to me that they were like, you can't know anything else.
Yeah, set it ablaze.
Yeah. So
don't tell the whole story.
We are, shooting off a lot here.
Yeah.
In a good way. Like, no, there's lots of stuff that connects, because it could all be, there's got to be a reason that these things are talked about so much. So there has to be something to it. Even if you don't believe that Bigfoot is real in that way, there has to be something to it, because there's too many people and too many sightings for there to be nothing.
Experiences and stuff like that. And
I haven't had a Bigfoot experience.
You've had very weird ones.
I've had very weird
different type of variations.
But not Bigfoot. Yeah. But I will say, all the times we spent out there, even on like when we were younger and we were playing on the equipment at the park for school, I did always feel watched. Did you ever get
And it's not like we had that many sex offenders. That's not what she's saying.
No. We were, so our playground at school was like surrounded by woods. And then a ravine, which sounds so crazy.
It's pretty country.
They let us kids play and there's just a ravine. There was shit down in the ravine. Like it was.
I mean, people would drive like a lawnmower.
Yeah.
Pretty country.
We're very country. Yeah. But so we were out there surrounded by these woods, and it's basically, they're all connected to the woods he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I always
we were never allowed to go in the woods.
Don't ever go.
Weird.
Not even like 2 steps.
Yeah, they get mad.
But I always felt watched. And when we would walk down there when we weren't supposed to after hours, in the nighttime, we'd ride our bikes.
Being so bad,
yeah.
Rebels.
We'd go down there, like you always felt like watched.
Yeah, for sure.
Everywhere in that area.
Sure. Even when you're riding the 4-wheelers, and you're faster than a whole lot of other things, but
and you got stuck, and then you got in trouble.
Man, is something gonna jump in front? Yeah.
But no, that's. I always felt watched when we were out in those areas, especially like we would ride our bikes down. We'd go to the cemetery because we were like, oh, we're just like gonna find all the stuff.
Yeah.
So we'd go to the cemetery, then we'd ride there, and it just always felt like, something other was always watching you, whether it be ghost activity or maybe it was something in the woods.
There's definitely something in the woods and something in that cemetery, because I've been there a lot. And
do you ever like look back and you go, oh man, we shouldn't have been, like, you ever feel like disrespectful for doing it?
Yeah, but see,
but we weren't disrespectful
and
kids in the way we did it. We didn't hurt anything.
And eventually, even though we were rambunctious, but we still, we didn't like destroy.
Absolutely not. We were like respectful of everything.
Yeah. I remember going to the cemetery. You always knew, like, if you had that feeling like it's time to go, like, you just go.
You just go.
You're just like, all right, cool, man. Like, I'm not.
We would talk to the
trying
people.
To poke the bear.
We would like read people's names and talk to people.
And Watson, big stone Watson was.
Yeah,
good time.
Yeah, oh my gosh, we would sit over there and just like, that's crazy.
Hang out.
Oh wait, so that's another thing. But your Bigfoot experience.
Oh yes, yes. So
what you saw.
So my brother's one would have been like 97, 98, somewhere in there. Mine, I was maybe 14 or so, 14, 15. So this would have been like 2004.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
I'm so
and
bad.
It was like the summertime. So it was like 7 o'clock at night, summertime, still light out, you still see stuff.
And I wasn't at your house.
Yeah, it was right. We was always there. Yeah, it was like eat dinner with us and everything.
Yeah,
like my mom and your mom too. It was like that. Yeah, and very close knit. And a lot of the guys that grew up with us, all pretty much the same thing. They would all come.
Oh yeah, his mom was the mom for
dinner. The house I grew up kind of became like this hub where just
for sure
everybody would just meet up. I don't know if it was a location or it might be.
No, it was your mom.
Super.
Very true. You were okay too, but your mom.
Yeah, I was still kind of cool. Mom was definitely cool.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Still, yeah.
Still cool.
Yeah, still cool. So, yeah, it was me and my cousin, and then one of my best friends, and then one of my brothers, not the one who had the stories, experience.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was a completely different one. So we used to play like war games, like we shoot each other with BB guns. I know if you weren't into that when you were a kid and you're like, man, that sounds dangerous. It was. Yeah. You know.
Could have lost.
We were bored. Okay. There wasn't much to do.
I didn't play these games. I just watched the boys.
Mayhem. Yeah. So it was very popular amongst our group. We did it all the time. Been shot more times than I can count. So
probably have BBs somewhere.
Oh, it's possible. They stung.
Yeah.
So we went to. So my mom's property is surrounded by fields. And then on the other side of the field is another long patch of woods and the Sandusky River. Mm-hmm. Same river that I mentioned earlier.
Down a little.
It's like 2
down
miles.
And over.
Yeah, it's down. It's not far from it. It's basically the same spot.
Yeah.
So there was my neighbor was my grandpa. He lived down the street, and there was a patch of woods that kind of like came away from his house. Mm-hmm. There was like a little bit of field, a couple breaks, but for the majority there was a clear line. And when you see it on the map, it's gonna be like, wow, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in
what I'm able to make. Yeah, and there's a creek line that runs through, basically away from my grandpa's house, all the way to the river.
Yep.
And when the field stops, it's it opens to a very wide patch of woods that goes all the way back to the river. So we're kind of dealing with like a upside down L, if you will.
Yeah.
So at the corner of this L, we had 4-wheeler trails all through it, but the most used was at the corner, and it was kind of flat. So we'd all have. You've been there a lot of times.
Yeah.
We always ride 4-wheeler down there, or whatever it was, and. So we hung out there, and we're like, man, we're gonna shoot each other with these BB guns. And my brother didn't want to get shot. He's like, hey, I'll do the referee part. I don't even know if he had a BB gun or if it would be. Like, it might not have been fair. You don't want to not have one. So it's the 3 of us, and we're in like a triangle. So I'm the furthest north.
So the triangle shoot each other.
Yeah, I'm the furthest north. And I got my cousin and my best friend. They're southwest and east of me. And there's, like I said, there's fields all around. So there's a field that we walked across to get there. And then a field on the other side. Both of these fields run all the way up to the road. Which the only house is my grandpa's. And down the ways there's another house. But it's like Abbott's. It's real far down there. Yeah. It's not walking distance by any means.
If you're not from like the sticks, houses, your neighbor is like
they're spread out
a mile or 2 or sometimes 3
If you're playing music, they can't hear.
Right,
no matter.
If you're screaming, they can't hear you.
Right. The only time is, anyways. So, we all start in the point of this L.
Yeah.
And we're popping shots at each other. Now my cousin jumps up and runs out into the field and then turns right to run towards the road, and he just takes off, hightails it.
Yeah.
So he's gone out of my view. I still got my buddy though. Me and him are still popping shots, but he knows that if he doesn't get on his 6, that my cousin's gonna come and flank him because that's these are easy war games to figure out. It's not that much. Don't take a brainiac. A couple teenagers, we get her done. So we're popping shots. He jumps up, starts covering his 6. It makes sense. I would have done the same thing. So he knows I'm behind him now. He knows this. And my cousin's somewhere in front of him. So he starts moving that way, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to go slow. Like, I took these games very seriously. If I had the money for a ghillie suit, I would have been in a ghillie suit, but we were not well off. So there was no money for a ghillie suit.
Could have built one.
Yeah, in a makeshift one, yeah. And we probably have.
I was just gonna say, I think we probably done that.
I feel like we have. Yeah, and especially in the wintertime, or like your mom make you put on the
bags
like
over
the grocery
your feet,
bag,
the bags over your feet, and then tie them around your shoes.
Yeah,
so
it was like one pair of shoes
wet.
a year. Like that was it, man.
Don't mess up those shoes.
Right, and sometimes they were hand-me-downs, so it just wasn't even new, just new to you, So, very simple life, and I'm crawling through this woods, and
because BB guns so serious.
Yes, very serious. I'm doing some low crawls. We got higher brush, so I'm kind of creeping.
Ticks, all that shit.
Right.
Screw it. I'm getting through this.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, burrs and everything, man. I was like, let's go, buddy. So I get to a part where I reckon they're going to be somewhere in the middle battling it out. So I'm like halfway down. And I don't know how many yards this is from the point to the road.
I'm so bad at that too. It's so hard to
200 yards maybe. I don't know.
What's a football field? I don't know.
It's a bit of a walk. And I've been crawling for a while. So and I ain't seen him at all, my buddy or my cousin or nothing. So I get to this part where it kind of opens up a little bit, and I got the field on my right, the rest of the woods on my left, and we had trails. Like I said, we had 4-wheeler trails, and I was predominantly using that to go through.
They were pretty beat down too.
Yes, you could walk
used
on.
A lot.
You could roll a ball and it would just keep going. It was very flat.
Yeah. Well
traveled. Animals also use it too, like deer and stuff. And so
I know you say stuff, and I always think, like, do people know about things like that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense to someone? Because like
maybe it doesn't, right? And then you got game trails, which are smaller. We'll get into that some other time.
Yeah.
So I get to this clearing, and there's a tree that's laying down, and then there's another tree that had dropped on it. So it's like a T, and I'm like, man, this is perfect. This is great cover. You know what I mean? I've been crawling. I'm tired.
Yeah, you're like, I need a break.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm just gonna sit up here and get quiet.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I was like, I'm just gonna listen, because I'm sure a lot of your viewers have been in the woods.
Yeah, no, because this is mostly Ohio people.
Right, so
you
they've
always
been
know
in
what
the
it
woods.
looks like. Yeah.
You know that if you stop somewhere in the woods and you get quiet, the woods will come alive.
Yeah.
It'll talk back to you, man. It'll tell you all kinds of things.
So beautiful.
Right. You'll get feelings, good feelings, usually good feelings.
Yeah. It's so good for you.
The end of this one wasn't that great, but
at first you were in,
right.
euphoric
It's a bliss, and then you're like, ooh, scary. So, I hear some sticks cracking, and I'm like, here we go, buddy. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, because you're assuming.
Right. And they had ran through the woods.
I know animal
that.
Is dumb enough
so
to not
if
know
it's
you're
a deer,
person. Yeah.
if it's a deer push, and what that means is they run the same way you're running. They go away from you. They're not. They usually don't
come at
turn tail and run the other. Run towards you and then past you.
And they know what a human is. They're gonna know if you were there.
Yes, they can smell you. They can smell you, and plus,
they're not gonna be like, ooh, what
your
are you
scent.
Doing?
Your scent is moving around the woods too.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would have been downwind from it. So if this creature, Bigfoot, dude, man in a fur coat, whatever, if he has a nose that's good, like other animals, which
like you would assume
probably
someone that lived in the
probably
woods
has a pretty good nose. He's not going to
there.
smell me because I'm downwind from him.
Right.
So that could come into play too. But he will smell my other two parties.
Right.
And the referee, so 3. So That rhymed. So I start to see him, and there's that creek that runs through the woods.
Yeah.
And that creek gets deep, gets shallow. So I thought it was my buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And like, well, these Bigfoot are like 7 feet tall or whatever, and your dude's obviously not 7 foot tall.
Right.
I get
None
that.
None of these guys were 7 foot tall.
None of never. But if you're on a creek bank, and this one in particular, if you're 2 feet to your right,
you could look.
You're several feet lower than
that's
what
so
I would
true.
see.
That's so true.
So I'm watching them, and there's the trees, and I got some pretty good spaces in between the trees coming up. I'm like, I got this, So I give some pumps. I'm trying to be quiet. I'm like,
that's how a BB gun works. That gets the pressure.
It was like a crane one, and I'm like, it was really quiet, and I prop it up on the tree, and if you, I had them little gold ones. My pellets or my BBs were them little gold ones. They were shiny too.
You're so proud.
So you could see them when you can watch them fly out and lob out. And we shot each other so much and just everything else. Like I knew what the distance was, how high up, how far up I had to aim, stuff like that. We did this all the time. So I aimed up to what I thought would be about the distance. Fired while he was still behind a tree.
Yeah.
Because he was coming essentially my way.
Yeah.
Walking path, whatever. So I fire, I watch it lob out. It hits him. He grunts, steps back behind the tree, and then continues on. And I'm pissed because I'm like, dude,
how dare you?
That's a hit. You're out.
You're done.
I got you, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I win. The fuck?
No, you can't pretend like that didn't happen. I heard you.
Dude, and I start yelling at him. I'm like, motherfucker, I got you. Like I'm yelling at him like you son. That was my buddy.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was not my buddy. If I knew it was not my buddy, I wouldn't have shot it, buddy.
Yeah, you're like, I wouldn't have played games.
I would have been like, oh, wait till I have a real.
Yeah.
We're gonna have us a skeleton.
Then we would have proof.
So
I'm we don't want to kill Bigfoot.
Right, we don't want to. I mean.
Unless you need to.
I'm not saying something, but I mean, whatever it is. Hey, I choose me.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Your life. So, I'm mad, and I watch him, and there's like a thicket coming up, and I'm like, man, I can't see shit past this thicket.
Yeah.
He goes past the thicket, I can't see nothing. I stop hearing sticks breaking everything. I'm like, man, fuck, he's gone. I don't know where my cousin's at. So if I jump up, he's might be coming, because this is what I was thinking. I was thinking, he came around, he was flanking me. So eventually I'm gonna hit him.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, all right, he's pushing my
you're
dude towards me. Dude don't know where I'm at. Like I'm gonna get him. And so that's in my mind. Like I was like, this makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
There could be nobody else. It's 7:00 at night.
Oh, absolutely.
Very rural.
Yeah.
Private property. You're not allowed to go on it. We had permission to go on it.
And the only
We're
place
the
you
only
could
ones.
park a car to be out there, you would see it because it's fields.
Yeah, and there was no vehicle.
Right.
So, so my brother comes up and he's like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, get your fat ass down there and tell him he's out, dude. I hit him. He grunted and everything. So, I mean, this is like science. You're out.
You're
dude.
done.
Yeah, you even made a noise when I got you.
Yeah.
Like, you toed on yourself. You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, dude, they're up at Grandpa's battling on either side of the creek. And, dude, my hair stood up. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
It's time to go. And he's like, what? I was like my hair, like I got goosebumps. I was like, we're done, dude.
Something tells you when
right.
It's like,
and if it was a farmer, which is really weird, farmer's not going to be going walking around. Yeah, he would have had my ass.
Oh my god!
If you know about
so much trouble.
If you come from the sticks, man, it don't got to be your parents to bend you over and spank you.
Especially if you shot him with a
right.
I
had strangers
probably
spank
on
me.
his property, like he was on his side.
Exactly. I had family members I never even met spank. I don't even know you. Stop, mister. So
yeah,
he definitely would have
said something.
Right, and
called your mama. Somebody would have
right.
something.
And if you look at the one farmer that owned the property on our side, he lives far away. He drives his truck. We all know his truck. He knows us. He knows me.
And you can see all the roads.
If I'm shouting at him, he knows me.
Yeah.
He's
Brandon,
gonna.
what are you doing?
Dude. He's gonna go ahead and pay. He's gonna scoop me up.
Yeah.
And if it's the farmer on the other side, which would have been Abbott, I believe Abbott, it might have been Stars who owned it, but Abbott farmed it.
Yeah.
And Abbott's old. Abbott ain't coming out.
Yeah.
If he's coming out in his truck like he always does. He's not walking that far. That is a walk, buddy.
All of it's a walk. Like anybody that's out there is out there on purpose.
Halfway from Wilson's. I mean, that's far.
It's you'd be out there on purpose. You're not just out there like,
and you're not walking towards the river. Strange.
Right, where you going?
And here's another one. All three of my peoples walked past it. Because the woods ends. The way that we're traveling, the woods ends. There, it opens the field. My grandpa's house is right there. It's right on the other side of the road. So you have a stretch of, I don't know, 70 yards. I don't know what the stretch is, but there's a section of field, and the creek is snaking it, and then the road, Grandpa's house.
Yeah.
They were on either side. There was like one or two trees that were just random in this field
like
made no sense whatsoever.
For windbreaks, so they don't get like a wind tunnel or a dust bowl.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Pretty sure that's what it is.
Send it. So they're battling it out. And at this point, from where I was at and where they were at, I'm not even going to hear them scream. We're outside shouting distance at this point. You know, and the referee, my brother, had walked quite a bit to find me.
To look for you.
Because I was gone.
You were playing a game with people that weren't there.
I was playing war games.
with God knows what.
Getting serious now. And where would he be going?
Yeah.
There's nothing that way.
And see,
there's not a boat launch that way.
No.
That creek is so deep.
Oh, yeah,
when you get to the river, it's literally a drop off.
Yeah. I don't even know if you could there's not a lot of places to get into the river properly out there at all.
No, you would have to do it down
like in Old Fort.
Well, you got the launch in Old Fort, and then there's that launch that Stars built, but that wasn't. It was the old one.
It wasn't like technical.
Right. It's not a good launch like it is now.
Yeah. No. Oh yeah. Now it's like a whole thing.
Right. It's a whole thing. It's reserve. And the reserve actually goes through kind of the parts that this was. So if there are people that would like, I mean, it's open to the public.
Yeah, and it's
if
really
you want
nice
to walk
trails.
the land that I'm talking about, you can actually walk it and maybe see something yourself. I don't know. It's like 3 miles.
Yeah, me and the kids go out there every year.
It's beautiful. Like, it really is nice. I've walked it since. Like, I'm not scared to walk it.
Because I think that they let people hunt. Like, but they tell you that. They tell you it's close.
You know, wear orange.
But yeah, we take our dogs out there.
Yeah,
go
for
in the
walks. Summertime. Yeah. It's really nice. And
awesome.
Just check yourself for takes when you're done.
Yeah, it's a little thick.
Yeah.
But you can walk right by the river. Like, they have nice enough trails. Like, even
it's amazing. You can ride your bike too. If you want to ride your bike, if you're into that, you can ride your bike too.
Yeah, it's a really nice area, and it also has. I feel like that whole area out there is so like charged.
Very charged, and they say that running, like the water running.
Yep, water is a conduit for
something about, I don't know if it's like does it gotta be a stream or just running water?
I think just water in general too, because like lakes and stuff, they say like just the structure of water holds memory. Some people think it holds like
and think
energy.
About how many stuff is in the ocean that like you got all them like
the ocean.
Sailors and stuff with all this crazy stuff.
So we're gonna stop there on the Bigfoot, and we will have some more stuff coming to you.
Let us know what you think. What could it have been?
Until next time, y'all. Stay spooky.
Spooky.